Thomas Edison has a very famous quote, and it says that there is no substitution for hard work. And I don't think anything could be truer, more true. True is not a word. I don't think anything could be more true. What I would say, I don't think that there's like this like magic sauce. You have to be willing to sacrifice some things and put in the time, energy, and effort it takes to be successful and control the outcomes.
Welcome to the Real Estate Pros Show, where we interview real estate investing professionals from coast to coast, as well as the service providers that serve the real estate investing industry. Our goal is simple: share what's working now to help you improve and scale your business to the next level and meet the pros that can help you get there. Real Estate Pros is powered by Investor Fuel, America's leader in helping real estate investors and professionals build the business you need to live the life you've always dreamed of. Let's start today's show. Property insurance for real estate investors doesn't have to be difficult, but it does need to be there to protect you when you need it. MyInvestorInsurance.com not only provides insurance at 15 to 30% cheaper than traditional agencies, it's built specifically for real estate investors like you. You can set up an account in about 2 minutes, get quotes on properties, turn on and turn off insurance for your fix and flip or rental properties in around 2 minutes without having to talk to anyone directly, all through our portal. There's no better way or faster way to make sure you've got the coverage you need to protect you, and no more lengthy policies either. Once you're set up, you're billed monthly and prorated by the day for however long your policy is active. It's powered by MSI, the third largest independent MGA, with 1.5 million customers and more than $1 billion in cumulative premiums written. Get set up today in about 2 minutes at myinvestorinsurance.com/fuel.
Welcome back to the Real Estate Pros Podcast. I'm Kristen, and I'm here with Jamie Ray, who is the owner of AK Management Group. We're going to talk about getting a business off the ground, how to transition something from a passion into a side hustle and potentially a full-time job. So thanks so much for being here, Jamie.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much for having me.
So give us a little background on how you broke into the real estate industry. I know your company is fairly new.
Yeah, great question. So how it really started was back in 2021, in my hometown. My grandmother owned a very big, large colonial home that was founded by and built for the candle company that founded the town. And she actually, unfortunately, passed away. But we always loved the home. It was our childhood home. So it came up for sale. Immediately flew out from Denver, Colorado, where we lived at the time. Flew out to Northeast Ohio. Went and looked at the home. Had an amazing conversation with the realtor. She's showing us all these imperfections in the home, and I'm like, "Man, that dent in the wall is from my head when I was 9 years old. Like, we'll absolutely buy this house." I don't think there was necessarily much of a plan for it. I lived in Colorado. My sister lived in South Carolina. We bought the home together, and then we thought to ourselves, well, we could Airbnb it out as a way to just kind of cover the mortgage. So we did that. We invested in the house a little bit, furnished it, fixed it up a little bit. And all of a sudden it really took off, and it was booked all the time. We were getting really good ratings. Everyone really loved the whole home because of its historic value. And we had made the decision in 2024 to move back to Ohio. And I was like, man, this Airbnb worked out really well. So when we moved back to the town, I looked around and I was like, man, everybody loves it here. The square of Medina is on HGTV. There's a ton of events and festivals. People really love living here. And there's this like really beautiful, like vintage feel to the area. It just needs spruced up a little bit. So I was like, you know what, I'm going to fix up one of these houses. I think I can buy it for X, fix it up for Y, and then I think sell it for Z. Went through that proof of concept. It worked out really, really well. I had an amazing partner I was able to kind of get involved with from like a hard money lending perspective. And he said, hey, let's do this one house. Let's figure it out. Let's see if it works. And it did. And all of a sudden it clicked. I was like, I could just rinse and repeat this over and over again and really do something here. So we came up with the business plan. And at the end of the year, hopefully we'll have about 15 houses. So I think that it's something that has definitely gone well so far, but it was not a dip your toe in moment. That's for sure. We put our big boy swim trunks in and cannonballed in.
Stop living on an island and join the #1 mastermind in America for professional real estate investors. Investor Fuel is a community of hundreds of the nation's top investors working together to build stronger businesses and better lives. In addition to the amazing community of real estate investors acting as a board of advisors for one another, Investor Fuel members have access to 100% funding on purchase and repairs for our members only, a health insurance program, and benefits and discounts that more than pays for the membership of most of our members, meaning it's actually costing you money to not be a member of Investor Fuel. If you're looking to scale your business and build a business that allows you to live the life of your dreams, please visit investorfuel.com today and book a call with our team.
Yeah, that's amazing. I mean, that's really high growth for 1 year and, when you're first starting out with it. And you're very lucky that the first time went well for you because I feel like that's not always the case.
It's true. Well,
So,
I think there's a piece of like being able to control what you can control. And I had a mentor at one point way early in my life that said, "Hey, if things start right, they end right." So, we put a lot of thought and we put a lot of intentionality into what, like, we weren't like, hey, let's just buy a house. Let's see what we need to do. Like, we consulted with people. We had conversations with what we thought were the right folks that would help us mitigate what the risk involved would be. And then we accounted for that risk so that when the risk happened, which it did, it put us in an okay spot, right? So we sort of worked backwards from what we thought houses would be worth at the end to get to okay, this is what we can offer for this house. And there's nothing wrong if they don't accept that offer. We just got lucky. I mean, I would say we got lucky, but we were in the right place at the right time that they were willing to accept those offers. So.
absolutely. And I think you hit on a good point with mentorship. I think it's such an important part about building something from the ground up. How did you go about finding people to connect with?
So how it really worked for me was, I had this idea. I consider myself pretty good at math and business savvy. So I looked at a way where I could enhance what, my personal portfolio looked like at first. That's where it began at first. And, my iPhone must have just absolutely been listening to me because then someone came across my phone by the name of Tommy Har, he has the Real Side of Real Estate. It's a Columbus based, mentorship program and, kind of mastermind community, if you will. And the sales guy in me went, you know what, I'm just going to call this guy. So, I reached out to him, got connected with him, went to, a few of his events, spent some time with him. And I think that he's been really impactful, especially in the beginning phases of it. Again, consulting with people, risk mitigation, and just making sure that you've got the right people in your corner, that when you have questions, you have a resource to get an answer.
Absolutely. I mean, it's such a big part of it, and you save a lot of money getting some mentorship along the way.
Yes.
As you've been kind of getting your footing, what's something that maybe like a misstep early on that you were able to course correct?
I would say that one of the things we did incorrectly in the beginning was it wasn't necessarily the construction phase, but I think it was like the post-construction phase. So I think that
Mm.
there was this avenue of I'll open up that funnel. Construction in general. I think that in real estate investing, it's really easy for people to think of, okay, well, if I can buy the house for X and fix it up for Y, then it'll be worth Z. But unless you're the one doing the work, if you're like me and have a full-time job and you're trying to run a second company, I don't, even if, I don't have, I got 3 little kids. I don't have the time to go spend another 40, 50 hours a week swinging a hammer. And nor do I have the expertise that would warrant the outcomes, that would warrant the after rehab values that I would want. So going through construction and going through some of those mistakes of
Yeah.
small things, right? Like, oh, we chose this backsplash because we thought it would look good. We put this door here because we thought it would look good. We didn't put canned lights, or we did put canned lights in these spaces, but then we added cabinets. So now it looks funny. It's like some of the design and architecture on the front end, will really mitigate what the back end looks like. And then even in on the back end, when you're done, making sure things are all right. I mean, a really live example is we had someone who did a house. It worked out really well. ARV went fantastic. But what we had kind of forgot is that in 4 months of doing construction that we really hadn't run the plumbing or anything. So when we turned it all back on after the tenant was already there, well, now I got a $7,000 repair to tear out and replace 20 feet of pipe in the ground. So if I would have done the right things on the front end, I might have been able to mitigate that. That was definitely a lesson learned.
If you're looking for consistent, high-quality leads, look no further than Investor Machine. Investor Machine isn't just another agency. It's the most sophisticated, data-driven lead generation company on the planet for real estate investors, and serves the role of being not just a lead generator for your business, but a marketing partner that is helping you achieve your goals along the way. Go to investormachine.com to learn more and schedule a call with our team today.
Absolutely. I mean, you can't get out of it without stuff like that happening.
No.
No, but I think that's a good lesson for people. And when you're working with contractors, what are your tips for kind of building the right team around you?
That's actually a really fantastic question. And speaking of Tommy Har, one of the last events that I went to him, I focused on the construction. Everyone was asking questions about, what can I buy this house for? And how do you get deals? How do you get people to be under contract? I'm like, man, you should probably focus on the construction piece of it. So I think that what we've really done is we've set just non-negotiable expectations. In my full-time job, I ask people all the time, what are your 3 to 5 non-negotiables in this? And I realized I should be asking people that. Or asking myself that. I should be asking that of other people to myself. Is here, my non-negotiables are, we put paper down on new floors. My non-negotiables are, you're paid for work that's done. My non-negotiables are that, hey, to work in this environment, you're going to have to be paid in the rear. Your billable hours are due by Friday. They'll be approved by Monday, and payment will be set out by Wednesday, so your guys can get paid the next Friday. And if you're not willing to operate in that system, then it's not going to be a fruitful engagement. And transparently, I have in the very beginning steered away from that against better judgment, and it did burn me. So I've learned that lesson that it does need to work this way. And in the time that I have dug my heels into the ground and done it that way, it's been successful. I've been able to control the outcome.
Hmm. Absolutely. That's really good advice. And so you're kind of in a lot of different areas of real estate. So you're building, you acquired a commercial unit, you're in short term, long term. What would you say about diversifying like that? Is that a part of your strategy? Is that something that you really advocate for people to do?
Yeah, I would, if I had an audience in front of me and I said, hey, if you really want to get into this, go all the way in and figure out what works for you, and what makes the most sense. Every house in theory that you purchase should have some sort of an exit strategy, right? And what makes the most sense and what makes maybe you the most profit, right? So, and that's a really dynamic question that you have to ask yourself, because, like what we're doing, we thought we were going to be fixing, renovating houses and selling them. Well, then all of a sudden we were like, well, wait a minute, if it cost me, if it cost me this to buy it and fix it up, but now all of a sudden it's worth all this money and I can offset that and make a few $100 by renting them out, why would I get rid of the asset? Like, why long term, I would make way more money and I'd be able to hold the asset. So why would I do that? And I can control the market. So we sort of organically gravitated towards that. And then, we've sold houses and we realized, I think, that the process of buying a house, fixing it up, and then putting it on the market and going through a lot of that rigmarole just wasn't necessarily worth the hassle. And some of the reason of that was because our market is so short and my market is so short in housing that we're having no problem renting these houses to people, but people do have a problem being able to afford homes. So for us, we were like, why would we even Like, why would we sit on a house for 90 days or 30 to 60 to 90 days until it gets sold when someone's knocking down our door to rent it 3 weeks before it's done? So we've
Mhm.
gravitated towards that, but we've flipped houses and sold them. We Burr method a lot of houses. We're building a brand new duplex right in the same area. We've invested and bought some commercial properties. And the idea is, hey, in the first 12 months of doing this, let's see what we're good at. Let's see what makes the most sense for us as a company to do. And then let's make that decision, right? I didn't want to be like, we're going to fix and flip houses. And then a year later, we hate it. But we had kept some of those houses and rented them like we are, maybe we would have liked it. We've never built a duplex before, right? We're just now putting the slab down. That thing's at ground level. Maybe I'll love that process because it's brand new.
Mhm.
Or maybe I'll hate that process, because it's going to be, because I've got to deal with contractors and subs and liens, and maybe that'll be a terrible experience and I'll never want to do it again. So I think it's like, let's just go all in. Let's, and just let the chips fall go all in, right? Toss them all in and see where they fall.
If you're a new or newer real estate investor looking to launch or grow your real estate investing business, please check out Investor Fuel Club. It's a coaching community, but unlike anything you've ever seen before. And you can actually partner with members of our mastermind from coast to coast on deals right in your market. There's no better opportunity to build a consistent business than to literally partner with pros to help you avoid costly mistakes, avoid the need for capital to do deals, and help you eliminate your fears as you're starting your business. Learn more about Investor Fuel Club at investorfuel.com/club.
I think it's a really good strategy, and I think a lot of people don't really think of it like that, and maybe they enter the investing world and they do flips and they hate it and they just say they hate investing, but there's so many ways to be in the game.
Yep.
To kind of like shift gears a little bit, I'm sure there's a lot of people listening who are either just starting out or wanting to start out and have a full-time job and are kind of scared to balance everything. How have you made it work?
Thomas Edison has a very famous quote, and it says that there is no substitution for hard work. And I don't think anything could be truer, more true. True is not a word. I don't think anything could be more true. What I would say, and it's a little ironic because I had this conversation with a young gentleman who goes to our church, and I saw him at the coffee shop the other day, and he was really struggling with what he wants to do in life, and as a profession, as a day job profession, I'm an IT consultant, and I have a good job. I enjoy my job. I wouldn't necessarily say it's something that I'm passionate about, but I have a family of 3 kids, right? I mean, your passion, sometimes needs to not necessarily take a back seat, but it needs to be in the right perspective. So
Right.
for me, I really had to make the conscious decision that and my wife will say this, and it's a good, bad, or indifferent, probably leaning more towards the bad, but I'm an all in kind of guy. If I'm going to do something, I will be the absolute best at it. I had a college coach that said, hey, if you can be a garbage man for a living, I don't care. If you're the best garbage man that there is, then I'm proud of you. And I
Mhm.
think that mentality really has resonated with me, that when I decided I was going to do this, I said, I'm going to do this. Now, it escalated faster than I necessarily anticipated it to, but I consider myself having broad shoulders, figuratively speaking. And I thought to myself, well, this is going really well, and this is going to provide a lifestyle long term that I know is going to be what I want for me and my family. So it was a no brainer. I'm happy to put in the work and the hours, the time, the energy, the effort, the blood, sweat, tears, all of that. And I don't think that there's like this like magic sauce. You have to be willing to sacrifice some things and put in the time, energy, and effort it takes to be successful and control the outcomes. And if you do that, again, right, but another cheesy sort of analogy, but someone said it's it's quite physically possible to fail if you give it 100%. And if you fail, then either you didn't give it 100%, and if you tell yourself you're giving it 100%, you didn't, right? Or you're full of it, or you need to reevaluate what 100% really looks like.
Hmm. Well, I think that's really good inspiration. So, as you're growing this business, it seems to be growing very quickly. How do you kind of balance it growing quickly and building thoughtfully or growing
Yeah.
thoughtfully?
So one of the things when we started the company, we if we had two words that were on the back of our t-shirts, right, it would be intentionality and integrity, right? Those are the pillars that the company sits on. And as we've grown and we've grown fast, thankfully, my background in IT consulting is quite literally helping people learn how to scale, do it quickly with processes and procedures in place. So, um, definitely using that as to my benefit and advantage. But I think that's one of the ways that I've done it. I've brought in people that have been impactful to me and the business in the short term, and I know will be in the long term, right? They consult on projects. They put SOWs together for me. I have people who do our accounting and finance that are actually partners that I brought in as partners to this to just basically ensure that this would be something I would be able to put on my plate, right? The plate's full, but I wanted more. So I knew that if I was going to do that, I had to bring in people around me to help scale this effectively.
Mhm. Absolutely. No, I think that's a good it's a good strategy. And kind of going back to the same conversation we were having about contractors, how are you, finding these people around you? How are you kind of deciding what kind of company you want to build?
Yeah, to be. I mean, I I think first and foremost, we are absolutely a God fearing family. I think we believe that God has put us in here and on this earth for a reason, and I think that this has been a bit of a calling for us. So I think we obviously want to do all the things in the correct manner that are reflective of him, right, through us. And we've been really fortunate to be involved with people who have made it really easy to reflect that message to other people. um when we first started this, right, we gave three contracting crews an opportunity, and kind of in almost too perfect order. One failed miserably, one did a good job, and then one just sort of stood out. And one of the reasons that they stood out is that, they were really a faith-based company. So once we got to know them a little bit more and get a little bit closer with them, we realized what morals and principles, integrity and intentionality pillars that they stood on. And
Yeah.
it made for a really good partnership, which has led for us to be able to acquire that company, that construction and remodeling company, so we can manage construction in-house, and control the outcomes a little more.
Yeah, I think that's great. Actually sitting down and figuring out what you want the business to look like, what the moral pillars, the values, and finding people that align with that vision. I think it's totally, it's a game changer. So thank you so much. I think you've given so much good advice and insight and inspiration for people, maybe at the beginning or middle or end of their journey. Thank you so much. So tell everybody where to find you and how to work with you.
Yeah, absolutely. So companies AK Management Group, you can find us on Instagram, Facebook. How we love to work with people is we're always open to doing a joint venture with people. I think that any way we can spread ourselves into the community and help people utilize those pillars that we've put our company on, I think is absolutely impactful. So if you'd like to joint venture on a project together, we'd be happy to. If you just have questions or any advice that I could potentially give you, I think, I've got a soft place in my heart for, the guy who's got a full-time job, but also loves, fixing and flipping houses and being part of the real estate game and using it as a driver and fuel for your, whether it be your investment portfolio or a lifestyle you're trying to gain. I would be more than willing to get on a phone call, get on a Zoom call and talk through what that looks like. And I think really share what my journey has been, because I think the journey has been pretty impactful and it can be for other people as well.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you, Kristen. I really appreciate it. This was great.
Awesome. Well, thank you everyone for listening. Hope you learned a lot, got some inspiration for your own business, and we will see you back next time. Bye.
Thanks for joining us for today's Real Estate Pros Show. You can learn more about the amazing benefits of the Investor Fuel Mastermind community, including surrounding yourself with hundreds of other rock stars, 100% financing for your deals, and members-only discounts from vendors you're likely already using that, as a member of Investor Fuel, will save you more than the cost of your membership. Visit investorfuel.com to learn more. If you're interested in joining us as a guest of this show, please visit investorfuel.com/pros to apply. You can also check the show notes for access to free resources, how to get access to world-class lead generation, and much more. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another episode. Have a great day. We'll see you on the next show.